Hi, Jay Fallon here. Thank you for listening to The Slippery Slope. Now, today I want to talk about Queensland Police, the big story that's been happening here in Queensland, Australia. Now, I'll be upfront with you. The reason why I've been following this story so intently, so closely, and the reason why I want to talk about it today is because I was a police officer up until the 14th of October, 2022. So just over, smidge over a month ago is when my resignation went through. So I just wanted to be upfront about that. So, and I spent just under, I think it was maybe a month, one more month, and it would have been 12 years of service within the QPS, what they call QPS, the Queensland Police Service, for myself. So I won't go too much into that yet, but I just want to be upfront and say this is why, this is one main reason why I'm covering this story at the moment. And it's regarding the inquiry into the response from Queensland Police, from the Queensland Police Service into domestic violence situations. The inquiry also evolved to take in the allegations of racism and sexism within the ranks of the QPS, Queensland Police Service. I can confirm that I definitely 100% saw quite a bit of racist behavior, talk, sexist behavior, talk, I suppose, at different points while you're in there, you see things. And also I know of domestic violence situations that just that police could have handled better, but that's not really mine to discuss. I just really want to talk about this inquiry and how I believe it's a failure. We're seeing a failure on the part of the Queensland government, the Labor Party headed by Anastasia Palaszczuk, a complete failure from her to take any reasonable, responsible action that is needed. And in reality, it was just an inquiry which has gotten nothing. In reality, it's got some bad publicity, some bad headlines, a little tap on the wrist, and be on your way, Commissioner. So let's get into this story right here. And like I said, I think it's just very very disappointing. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll find. So this headline here comes from The Guardian. It says Queensland police let off with a talking to after inquiry's scathing report. So this came out yesterday. It says that throughout the inquiry into Queensland police responses to domestic violence, the public learned about cases where officers who were found to have engaged in serious racism or sexism were let off with a local management resolution, which is basically a stern talking to and a demand to do better in the future. Now, this woman here, if you can see her, if you don't know, that is our police commissioner, Katarina Carroll, who I've got to say, in my humble opinion, is a great disappointment. Further on, so she's also the first female commissioner in the history of Queensland Police. And going on, it says those sorts cases dominated Guardian Australia's reporting during the hearings, and since there were officers found to have committed sexual assaults, and some staff were also recorded making racist comments, making reference to beating and burying Black people. It's very important that the message is very clear that if you are making racist or sexist comments in the Queensland Police Service, this is not the job for you. This is what the Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, said on Monday. It's still the job for the Commissioner. Anyway, so the scathing final inquiry report by Justice Deborah Richards makes it clear the fundamental failure lies at the feet of the Queensland Police leadership. And look, personally, I don't believe it should just have been the Queensland Police Commissioner, Katarina Carroll, that lost her job. She didn't. I don't think it should have been her that just loses her job. The whole leadership team should have been kicked out the door, to be honest, starting with her deputy, old Steve. Anyway, going on, it says, but at the conclusion of the inquiry, no one is losing their job. Not one person. not the police commissioner, Katarina Carroll, who, when the inquiry was first recommended last year, she denied that any cultural issue existed and initially declined to appear at the hearings and denied on the witness stand that problems were widespread. Okay, she'd been in the job for, 30 years or something. I mean, and she could deny with a straight face that problems were widespread. Anyway, so not the deputy commissioner, Steve Golszewski, who's a bit of a pit bull. Actually, I would describe him as a bully. Anyway, so who members of the QPS First Nations Reference Group, the formal advisory body of Indigenous leaders and elders, alleged engaged in aggressive behavior and used racialized language during a recent meetings. These complaints have been dismissed out of hand. And I'll just say, listen, as someone who has made complaints and have them dismissed out of hand as well, it doesn't surprise me that this kind of behavior goes on. So Golszewski has been given a promotion as a special coordinator of police reform. That reminds me of the other story, the police commissioner standing up there, almost a tear in her eye, saying how she didn't want to promote another officer because, this officer had made extremely lewd comments out in a public forum. It was well known. And she says, well, look, actually, he's since been stood down, and I think he's back at the job now. But he was up for a promotion. The commissioner, Katarina Carroll, said, I didn't want to promote him, but my hands were tied. I had no choice, which is a load of crap. Sorry for my frank language. It's just crap. She's the police commissioner. She didn't have to promote him. Anyway, going on. So Golszewski, however you say his name, I don't care, on Monday denied the allegations and said, I have the utmost respect for all First Nations people. Yeah. And in particular, every member of the First Nations reference group. Okay. And not also the police minister, Mark Ryan, he didn't lose his job either, even though in 2019 he met with Kerry Carrington, who's a domestic violence academic whose work focuses on specialist police stations for victims of family violence. So Carrington said on Monday she had told Ryan bluntly there was a need for cultural reform and more specialist resources, and that he was dismissive and rejected the need for reform. Yet another one who's just submissive. It doesn't matter. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a doctor. What do you care? So Ryan said he remembers the meeting differently. Of course he does. Maybe not so negative towards his own self. Maybe more of a favorable light. But Carrington said the minister should be sacked. So that's three people that should be sacked that they're not. So the inquiry and the report is the most significant for the Queensland Police Service since the landmark Fitzgerald inquiry in 1989. Now, just briefly talking about this Fitzgerald inquiry in 1989, I tried to join the police when I first finished school at the end of 1990. Now, obviously the Fitzgerald inquiry had just finished, and one of the recommendations from the Fitzgerald inquiry, because they had so much corruption in the Queensland Police, was that they would not take people directly out of school anymore. They would prefer to take people who had life experience. And I was told, no, you can't, don't apply. Come back when you've got some life experience. So that's why I ended up applying later in life. However, now, because there's such a shortage in staff, because they're losing so many staff, because so many staff are feeling so disillusioned with the Queensland Police and the direction, and they do not feel supported. Queensland Police have this little tag, "Our people matter." It's the biggest lie in the Queensland Police history. So one of the issues with the recommendations from the Fitzgerald inquiry was do not take people directly out of school anymore at such a young age. So the year is now 2022. Queensland Police Service, under the leadership of Katarina Carroll, they're finding it hard to find staff now, and they've just discarded older police officers because they don't care about their opinion, because their people don't matter, as opposed to what they say. So what have they done? They've gone back to taking children again. They're now taking teenagers straight out of school, straight out of high school again. You'll look forward to being pulled up by an 18-year-old. It's awesome. Yeah, it's very wise. You know, just because 30 years ago they said, hey, this isn't a good thing and you shouldn't do it anymore, doesn't mean we can't go back and make the same mistake again, does it? Of course not. Anyway, continuing on. I'll try not to go off on my own little tangents too much. So in the report, Richard said the QPS leadership was responsible for the culture of fear and silence. I can attest to that. That exists and characterized a system where reprisals were common against police officers who spoke up. The report says that addressing problems within the QPS would require a strong and respected leadership. It then goes on to say that QPS members were disillusioned and had lost faith with senior police and that the leaders had failed to deliver long-term improvements. They'd failed. So during the hearings, the counsel assisting Ruth O'Gorman put it to Carol that the problems could only be addressed if they were first acknowledged. There are shades of that statement in the report. If the QPS is to improve its response to domestic and family violence, it will be important for the leadership to hear and acknowledge those among the QPS membership who feel abandoned, disillusioned, and silenced. The report says it is unlikely that present and future commitments by the leadership to improving police responses to domestic and family violence will be effective unless it does so. And the decision by the Palaszczuk government to keep Carol in situ has been as much about optics as anything else. Because remember, it's the first female commissioner they've ever had. So the government has weighed the possibility of sacking the state's first female police commissioner over the behavior of men, balanced against the damage done to the reputation of police leadership by the inquiry and the final report. For now, the strategy is to portray Carol as a potential reformer. She has been in the upper stratosphere of leadership within QPS for well over a decade. So if she couldn't start reforming years ago, she sure as heck shouldn't be trying to do it now. Going on, says Palaszczuk, Premier Palaszczuk, says Carol is a strong leader. Okay. But that the QPS needs to do better. She goes on to say, let me say very clearly, I expect the reforms to be implemented very, very clearly, Palaszczuk said. The subtext, this is the reason why I want to read this particular report out, because this sums it up very nicely, I think. The subtext, the police leadership has had a stern talking to and to demand to do better in the future. But as one former police officer puts it, it's just one giant government local management resolution. Here. Couldn't put it any better. My experience with Queensland Police Service is, as I said, they have this, one of its little structures where they have Our People Matter. I've yet to meet a police officer that in any of the areas that I worked in that said, yeah, Our People Matter. That's definitely upheld by the Queensland Police Service. I would say most police that I ever met would have called that just, well, it's just dressing. It's just window dressing to make them look better. It doesn't really play out that way. My own actions or my own involvement when it came to my own, how do you say it? So I need to process how I'm going to say things because there are some things I can't talk about. But when it comes to my own interactions with seeing favoritism, with seeing racism within the QPS, with seeing how bosses Different areas will favor certain groups of people, or say favor certain types of people, family connections, longtime friends, all this kind of thing. It is alive and well. Favoritism, racism, nepotism, sexism, alive and well in the QPS. I will talk about it more later and talk about my own, more of my own feelings and how some of the things that happened with me. But for now, all I want to say is Queensland government has failed the people of Queensland, just failed them miserably. The Queensland Police Service have been failing the public miserably for a long time. Commissioner Carroll, you need to do better. You need to do better. And I know that you like to stand up in front of the camera and say, well, if people leave, it's all right. We'll just train more. Just train more. It'll be that easy. But it's not that easy. You can't discard people who have 5, 10, 20, 30 years service and just think it's all right. We'll just train more, because it takes years of training to hone the skills that you need to get into different areas. You need to do better. The state needs to do better. We're being let down miserably by the leadership in the state and our politicians, and by the leadership within the Queensland Police Service. That's just my opinion as a former police officer within the Queensland Police Service. But hey, thanks for listening. Please like and share. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope.